Hello, my name is Andy, and today I'm pleased to give you an overview of some of the new features that are included in the interactive grade control tool, which is available for you to enjoy in Micromine 20.5. So the first thing I'd like to show you is the new forms and the improved workflow. Here's my grade control toolbar, and the first thing you may notice is that the setup is now split up into two options. So you have the setup for polygons and you have a dedicated setup for wireframes. So let's go through the setup for polygons. I'm going to use a Micromine form set to save me some time so that I don't have to repopulate a lot of these settings. This is something that I'm sure a lot of Micromine users are used to utilizing. Let's proceed to the grade fields tab where the first new feature can be seen. At the bottom of the grade fields tab, we have these options because now you can define a material bin set. A material bin set allows the user to define different materials. So imagine you have different material classifications and you want to be able to interrogate the block model and report on each one of those material bins. A material bin set allows you to define those material classifications and then use them in the interrogation process. So here I've got three material bins. Sorry, I've got five material bins actually. My ore is broken down into low grade, medium grade, and high grade, and then I have waste. So my report will be broken down so that I get to see the reserves for each one of these materials. Before I leave this window, I'll just show you that we've got some new options for writing additional attributes to the wireframes, to the output wireframes, which is one of the primary outputs of this tool besides the report. So you have the ability to write a wireframe attribute for void, as well as the average density of the material, as well as prefixes and a series of other attributes. So one of the things that I didn't mention before was that when you define a material bin set, Micromine will create wireframe attributes that correspond to the reserves of each material bin and write them to the output wireframes that are generated. And I'll show you that in a minute. So I'll leave this form, or close it rather, and give you a quick look at the wireframe setup. It looks predominantly the same as you can see. Down here in the grade fields tab, we have a material bin set, and we don't create wireframes in this process because the inputs are wireframes, but you have the ability to code those wireframes with additional properties from the run if you'd like to do that. So now that I've given you a quick overview, let's go and set this up. So in my example, I've gone through and delineated my grade control dig blocks for all the mining blocks on the 170 bench. And as you can see, I've got my low grade, medium grade, and high grade control blocks. And in some cases, I've delineated the waste blocks as well. So I'm dealing with polygons in this case. So I typically go through to the polygons setup form, define my 3D points file or block model, as well as all my parameters for density, report file name, and so on. So as you know, I've done this before because I loaded a form set. I've defined a material bin set for this case, and I've asked Micromine to generate some wireframes as one of the outputs. I'll click OK. I'm happy to overwrite that report file. Now typically you run a report for one mining block, but I'm going to show you how this can be used to quickly run a report for all the dig blocks or grade control blocks for all the mining blocks on a given bench, because this is a nice fast way of doing things. So what I'll do is I'll hide all my waste polygons or grade control blocks, however you want to call them, and I'm just going to hide my blast masters or mining blocks. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tag all the ore. Select everything except your selection. Now I'm going to hide these guys and pull up the waste, and I'm going to tag all my waste. So now I've tagged all the ore and all the waste. And now I can just click on this generate report, and Micromine will interrogate all these polygons and generate a detailed report where things are broken down by material bins. So as you can see, for all these mining blocks, for each mining block, the function is reported on the reserves of each material bin. So there's the 170.08, 170.07. As I said before, you might not like to do this for all the mining blocks or all the dig blocks on a bench, but I just thought I'd show you this method because it's something that you can use to quickly run reports on everything on a given bench if you'd like. Now, before I continue, let me show you the wireframes that Micromine can produce for each one of those polygons. So in this case, Micromine has gone through and generated these these wireframes. And if I click on a wireframe, as part of the material set definition, you can see that Micromine has generated a series of wireframe attributes corresponding to the reserves that it calculated and written them onto each one of these wireframes. So this is really good because you can use these wireframes for various purposes such as scheduling or reconciliation or reinterrogation if you'd like to do something like that. So the next thing I'd like to show you is how you can use this auto update report. So right now it's enabled, and what that does is allows the report that's generated after each run to be dynamically updated as changes are made to the design. So let me demonstrate that. In this example, let's look at the 170.06 mining block where I've got a high grade control block within that mining block. So I'm going to tag that as ore, and I'm going to generate a report. There's my report. Now let's say that I realized that this grade control block wasn't quite right, and in fact the high grade doesn't end there, but maybe ends there. Something funny like that. Now as you can see, the report is dynamically updated. Now let me just do a quick undo. Again, the report will be dynamically updated. So the benefit of that is that you can quickly see the implications of changes to the designs in your reserve reporting without having to go through and set things up again and tag things again. It's quite a neat feature, and it can even be used in blast design where you're designing your mining blocks and you want to see the implications of variations in the geometry of the mining block on the reserves in each mining block. So a couple of other things to show you. This toolbar over here allows you to control whether wireframes are created for the tagged blocks or whether they're not created. So sometimes you might just want to avoid creating these wireframes until you're completely happy with your grade control blocks, in which case you would have this disabled. But when it is enabled, wireframes will be produced as the report is generated. So to show you that, I'll just tag this as ore, run the report. If you created the wireframes with the same names previously, Micromine will warn you. So in this case, I'm happy to overwrite. And Micromine generates a wireframe, which is that guy with the wireframe attributes. And the report is popped up. So this report, it can be moved around anywhere for those who like to work in different ways. Let's just remove that. And of course, you don't need to have grade control blocks to use this report. Use this tool. You can use it in various ways. So just to show you what I mean, let's just say I've gone through and generated my mining blocks for this bench. And now I want to try to get an idea of the reserves in each one of these mining blocks. Let's just look at 170.07. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tag that as ore. I don't want to create a wireframe. Oh, maybe I do actually. And I'll run the report. You'll see this thing will update after I tell it that yes, I want to override any previously created wireframes with the same name. So now you can see that I didn't have any grade control blocks, but what I did was tag this mining block as an ore parcel and generate a report for it. Now I might find that I want to modify this mining block and split it into two to create a better division between the ore and the waste, for example. So that's possible. So this can be used as an interactive interrogation tool as well. It doesn't need to be used in a grade control context specifically. So yeah, and where's the wireframe? Let's show you the wireframe for it. So there's the wireframe, and it consists of the attributes associated to the calculated reserves. I think that's all I wanted to show you today. I hope you enjoy using this tool and we look forward to receiving your feedback. All the best and speak to you soon.